Well, we are live, folks. For those who sign in early, be it doing the live stream version or doing the replay version, we do some background stuff, you might say. First off, I'd like to wish Lizzy and family a very warm and pleasant holiday season.
Thank you, Joe, and yours, and everyone.
And I think, thank you very much. And I think also, I keep this is Christmas Eve, so I guess I'd like to do this again New Year's Eve. If you're up for it, or would you not want to?
I am up for anything. I'm definitely up for it.
Sounds good. I like your moxie. That being said, there's some house chores for all of us. We're accessible. People ask how to get in touch with us. We're accessible through LinkedIn, through Facebook, and through YouTube. We'd like to remind you, if you sign in to YouTube to leave comments, you have to first sign in through Google, which doesn't which then allows you to make your comments back and forth. And please, I need a lot of help on this stuff. Lizzy, her audience tells me she's accomplished, she's good at what she does, and I don't refute that because these are credible people talking. It makes no sense to me. So any of you who choose to sign on, and I hope you do, to either clarify it for me to help me out on this, I would really appreciate that. So actually, this is a good start. The theme for today, and I'm going to share the screen on that because I've got some really zingers for you on this one.
Mm-hmm. Bring them on, bring them on.
Yeah, well, she sounds ready. Now, I'm going to read it myself because I want to be clear we're talking the same thing here. Basically, it says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Now, I have what I call the Peter Pan complex. I've had it since youth. And basically, now I happen to be a biology major, so I understand science. But I love when Peter Pan and Tinkerbell would fly and float through the clouds in the sky from point A to point B. I'm Peter Pan. So anytime I get above 20 feet off the ground, I want to, if you go to, say, a live performance, a theater where the aisles are very steep, I want to jump over the edge and flow down to the stage. Now, I understand the law of physics. And the moment I release my hold on the railing, I'm going to flop on the people right below me. But I understand that intellectually, but my mind is conceiving that I'm Peter Pan. Now, because you will never see me in a hot air balloon that goes up more than 5 feet above ground because I'm a jumper. So when you tell me whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve, I have a disconnect on that. So you help me out on this?
Wow, I love that you have the Peter Pan thing.
I am not safe to myself. I'm frightened.
No, well, but just look at the Broadway show. Peter Pan was harnessed and flew all around the stage. There's many of those singers at the Grammys. They fly into the stage, but they're harnessed, so they're flying. But I also believe there's a meditation that I teach that you visualize yourself walking to the edge of a balcony of a tall building,
right?
And you're picturing yourself up to the edge, looking over the edge, and then you step back and you
no. I'm already jumping. There is no step back on this.
Well, you do two versions. You do one version where you don't have wings. The second version, in your mind, you see yourself that you can fly and you fly all over, and then you come back and you say, how did I feel in each version? And so the power lies in our ability to imagine, to have imagination. That's what like differs us from other animals. Okay, so we have this superpower that if we put it to use to focus on what it is that we wish to achieve,
right,
and stay focused on it, and regardless of all the things that come up and say, no, you can't.
Yep, I'm still jumping. I'm with you so far.
Yes, you're still jumping. I think that you should always jump. You should always jump with a harness, with a parachute, with something.
Conditions. Yes, okay.
A little pack that has, a little flight pack on your back that I think we'll be using at some point in the future. To get from place to place.
I'm beginning to get this subtle sense that it's when it talks about this mind over. I get mind over matter. That's where I am on this. Mm-hmm. And someone says, just put my mind to it and it's going to happen. I hear the words, it makes sense, but my tendency says my tendency is to sit back in my favorite couch with my popcorn and my beer, and today my mental state of mind is I'm going to fly. You're kind of implying it's a little bit more than that.
Yes. Because the visionaries of the world, think of the visionaries of the world, like, who wanted JFK wanted to put someone on the moon.
Right.
Martin Luther King Jr. They didn't go and sit back on the couch and eat popcorn. No, they
Right.
they were at it day after day after day after day. Even and that's how it happens. You have to assume the act as if it's already happened.
Right.
So with rejections and people saying you can't, you have to keep going. So no, you can't just sit on the couch. But you can sit on the couch and have an amazing visualization experience, and that's a good step if you do that in addition to action.
Geez, conditions again. Well, let me ask this from a different angle, and I'm beginning to get a sense that this mind over matter stuff, and it's not quite that. I think I'm hearing. Is there a preparation or a technique that one gets in that mindfulness state, if I'm saying that word correctly?
Yes, it's really you look the way this law of the universe works. That goes along with this quote is that you need to see it clearly in your mind, because again, you have this power of imagination.
Right, I'm still jumping off the edge. You got me on that.
And then you need to feel how you would feel as if it's already happened. You have to see it. You have to see what you want to get what you see.
Right.
You have to see what you want to get what you see. That's what Olympians do. I mean, there's so many stories of athletes that see themselves up on the podium receiving the gold medal over and over and over every day in the gym. They sit down with their coach, they close their eyes. So yes, it's a process of closing your eyes, seeing that vision of what it is where you are, feeling that, all the feelings that you would feel as if you had achieved it. And then the magic starts to happen.
Well, that's interesting. What comes to mind sometimes when I watch the Olympics, and you mentioned athletes, where when it's either sometimes pole vaulting or the the hop, skip, and jump session, and as you watch, when the camera is zoomed in on the athlete, you can see them going through the hop, the skip, and the jump in their heads actually before they do it. Or the pole vault, you can see them doing what they have to do from facial expression to body language before the jump happens. Is that kind of the stuff you're talking about here?
Yes, absolutely. And there are so many studies that show that. There's a study of it was a swimmer or diver, oh god, I can't think of his name right now, but he would do this visualization. His coach didn't want him to practice so much in the pool because of the recovery factor. So he would do some of his workouts purely in his mind for like the hour, and they hooked him up to machines, and it showed that every single one of his physiological markers were exactly the same as if he was in the water.
Okay.
And even later studies, now there are studies that show, which is why the brain is so amazing, that they have shown somebody can learn to play the piano, say, just by thinking about it in their mind. They're shown the chords, and then somebody's actually practicing alongside of them in another place, and they come back to study, where they're at. And they're at equal places. One who just did it in their mind, and the ones who actually practice the song on the piano. So it's fascinating what we can actually accomplish. And then on the other spectrum, I think I may have spoken about this in one of our shows, but Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. You familiar?
A little bit. I've heard the name, but again, I'm not into this stuff, so I'll be honest about you on that.
Well, I mean, he talks about the last freedom we have is the freedom to choose our mindset. And so what he did in the concentration camps was they would give him like a bowl of dirty water with a fish head in it, and he in his mind would create that this was the most beautiful meal of fresh fish grilled, to perfection. And he would enjoy it in that same manner, and he was able to keep that level of mindset in order to, and it led to him surviving, really.
Right.
and well, teaching, going on to teach this philosophy for so many.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, as you're talking, it brings to mind. This is maybe a little bit off, not off subject. If have you seen Queen's Gambit, the Netflix
Yeah.
scenario?
In the process, yes.
Okay, well then, I happen to play a little bit of chess in the past, and I won't get too much into the technical aspects of it, but a lot of the program, without giving away spoilers, is in the chess player vernacular. There's a concept called seeing the board.
Hmm.
And that means if for some reason, and always be aware of every piece, what it can and can't do. And if it's, so that's important because if the board gets mucked up, I had a friend when I was a kid, if he was losing, he would knock the pieces off accidentally. And I could put everything back in exactly the same spot because I saw the board. And that's important because you want to out finesse your other player. And that's why it's called Queen's Gambit. That phrasing is very specific. You take a risk that you see more than they see and you suck them in. So is that the kind of thing?
Absolutely, it is absolutely exactly the kind of thing. I mean, I love how she visualized on the ceiling. I mean, that to me, I mean, I've done that many times, not with the chessboard. I mean, I wish it wasn't with the drugs involved because we can do it without the drugs.
Okay, well, I think giving away a trade secret there for a moment. We get a scoop on this program.
Yeah, this can be, just with a clear mind. So if you had some help, but yes, the concept is, and that's the same concept I think with great athletes again, or great businessmen. It's seeing, something that the other isn't seeing in order to see where the
I'm going to interrupt. You mentioned several times a clear mind, and we joked about the Queen's Gambit movie where the lady had to initially use drugs to get there. So how do you clear your mind?
It really is we need to have a positive mental attitude. I mean, I say it all the time. It's a choice. It's a choice because what we can choose to do is say, oh God, we're not there yet. This stinks. I'm the victim. The same thing keeps happening to me. And you're not, and then you're going to attract that. You're not going to get there. So you have to do have a mindset of first of all, gratitude. I think really helps, focusing on all the things that you have and how can you serve as a result of getting this thing or being able to fly, how be of service to others. And then, and so it's like, there are some components that do have to kind of be involved in really setting the stage for these things to really work.
Yeah, I got to ask this question. I hear what you're saying mechanically, the gratitude and the mindset, but wouldn't people who most need what you say you do are the people who are least capable at this moment to make it happen?
Absolutely, and those are the stories that I love, Joe. The ones of the people who are homeless, living in the street or the car, and they are like, I am going to become this person. And there are many stories of people who have gone from that to this because they had this belief. They're like, I am going to be in this situation one time. I'm going to get my mother a house. I'm going to this. And they stay the course. They keep believing.
I hear that. But I'm asking, maybe not very well, is then how does one with a lot of headwind trigger or get into that zone of, despite what's going on at the moment, I'm going to gain clarity and gratitude and belief? Is there a technique to that? There's some secret?
I mean, I think for some people it's easier than others. I mean, I think of Oprah. I think of who where she grew up and the circumstances, and she just was determined that she was not going to live the life of her grandmother. Or so I think it's again choosing to see the possibilities of life.
Right.
And even in the midst of like Viktor Frankl, or in the midst of these horrible situations, choosing that there is going to be a better. It's going to get better. It's going to happen.
Right.
In any situation. I mean, you think of so many people that like Oprah and Steven Spielberg got rejected out of film school. Who else can I think of? Michael Jordan was told he wasn't good enough for the team, basketball team in high school. But they stayed with their belief, their vision.
I hear the mechanics of that, and I'm going to hazard a guess. Let me just.
They dared to dream. We have, that's again that back to the beginning of that power of our imagination. that we have the superpower that people don't use.
Okay, now I'm going to make an assumption. If
Mm-hmm.
someone comes to you as a client,
Yeah.
and not if, when somebody does, from what
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing,
Mm-hmm.
that you are able to do that, help them in that transition from where they are to where they want to be, where they should be, where they ought to be. And so I'm not asking you to give away trade secrets, but are there like a freebie version? Like if one wants to move from where they feel they're stuck to a more positive part of their life, is there one single component that you might share that gets them started down that path?
Yeah, to think about what their ideal life would look like. What would
Mm-hmm.
their ideal life look like in any of their, excuse me, in any area of life? Look, what would it look like? Write it down. Write
Okay.
that vision up without limits.
Mm-hmm.
Dream life. Write it down.
Okay.
Write it down, and then start visualizing it. Start seeing it in your mind every day, multiple times a day, even better. Uh,
Right.
but at least a couple times a day, visualize that dream life, that ideal life in your mind. See it in specifics and feel the feelings that would come with it.
Okay, I appreciate that. And boy, we got so involved in talking. Our 15 minutes and then some is up already. I think what you did was a very nice closing out, and I want to thank you for your answer. My fog is still there. I still want to jump off that ledge all on itself without the conditions, without the presuppositions. So,
Well, I invite you to take a flight. Close your eyes. Take a flight all around wherever you want to go today in your mind first.
well, I've done that part. I'm ready to get on that hot air balloon. I told my wife, here's my end of this comment, that if I she's ever told that I committed suicide by jumping over a hot air balloon 8 miles up in the air, no, it's homicide. I would never get in a balloon and go that high up. So understand, get the detectives involved on that. But I
Mhm.
kind of get what you say, and I appreciate your comments. We're a little bit over, but you'd like to say something to take us home? I think you gave a nice conclusion, but anything else to think about?
I mean, just again, see what you want, get what you see. If you believe you can or you believe you can't, like Henry Ford says, you're right.
Hmm.
So believe in yourself, believe in your
Okay.
dreams, and dream big.
Thank you very much. And for everybody who have yet to celebrate the holiday, Merry Christmas and a Happy Kwanzaa. And we'll see each other again on New Year's Eve. And thanks, folks. And please share your comments and help me out on this because I'm still a jumper.
I would love to hear from anyone. Yes, we would love that. And happiest of holidays. Be safe, be at peace, and joy.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to sign out now, folks.